This Crev's corner, the ball is in your court. Swish.
Welcome back to Crev's Corner, guys. I am your host, Braden Krevling. This is our 9th episode of Crev's Corner, and today I have a reoccurring guest, Arrick Wilson. I've been on his podcast, he's been on mine, so I'm just going to let him take the floor for you guys who don't know Arrick and introduce to him his socials and stuff like that.
What is going on? My name is Arrick Wilson. I'm the head writer and everything at Courtside Talk with Eric. You know, Braden, me and him go back on each other's podcast, and he's just been a great person, and I'm glad that I was able to meet him throughout Twitter. And just go ahead and check out my YouTube, my blogs, all under Courtside Talk with Eric. Me and Braden have a lot stories with each other. We go back on each other's pods almost every week, so I'm just excited for this discussion that we have today.
Yeah, I was gonna say Arrick came to me a couple months ago, and we just kind of started this thing. Arrick's 3rd-year anniversary of Courtside Talk just happened, so round of applause for that. Just started this podcast this year, kind of when I started mine. So go check out Courtside Talk with Arrick on YouTube or Twitter. I'll put his handles down below this video, and yeah, we'll just get right into it. We have a lot of NBA news. Since we last talked, the Rockets finally snapped their 20-game losing streak, longest since the 76ers of Philadelphia. And they beat the Raptors last night 117-99. Actually, the Toronto Raptors are on their own 9-game losing streak. So did you expect this bad of a downfall with the Houston Rockets?
Yeah, when you have a player like James Harden leaving you, a 2-time MVP player, you're going to have some type of, drop down. And, I think one of the bad things about the trades that I really did not like, I didn't feel like they got anything. You got a injured Victor Oladipo, but like all that, just one of those players and nothing else for a transitional player like James Harden. So I already saw the drop off coming soon. So it's just what it is for the Rockets fans right now.
Yeah, I gotta say, Arrick, I saw a drop off, but I didn't see this kind of drop off. I thought that Rockets could actually fight for an 8 seed, 9 seed, try to get in that play-in tournament. But when you're replacing the highest scoring duo in NBA history in Russell Westbrook and James Harden and getting injury prone guys like a John Wall or Victor Oladipo, and kind of you got Christian Wood, who is emerging as a good player, but he's injured. And just it was a bad time for it. And a lot of Houston Rockets fans are probably let down that that's all he got. And talking about Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors, I didn't expect them to go on this 9-game losing streak either. I thought they were going to compete for a higher seed, having Pascal Siakam is the same Siakam that we saw a couple years ago. Kyle Lowry's in every trade rumor that Toronto talks about. Norman Powell might be on the move. Nets were a team that wanted him in their trade talks. So where do you see the Toronto Raptors going from here?
I think right now they have one of the worst. I think it was one of the worst records in the NBA. I think I'm not sure. I really don't look at the records that much, but I definitely did not expect this from the Raptors. From what I think they should do, I think trade these old guys. You got to let go Kyle Lowry. You probably want to keep Pascal, but you most likely want to let go of Kyle Lowry, probably try to get another pick. Because this draft, in my opinion, this draft coming up is very, very, very stacked. And I think I saw a draft board of someone guessing where the Rockets will land in the 2021 draft, and they had them going number 1 to my favorite prospect in a while, Mr. Cade Cunningham. So I think from this point on, you're just going to have to chop it up as you guys are going to do good, trade Kyle Lowry, and just go on with the rest of the season.
Yeah, the problem with Houston is they trade a lot of their picks to Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City's got them stacked picks. I mean, they're drafting guys left and right, and they're going to try to repiece from there. Going on, staying in the Eastern Conference, we'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets acquiring former Clipper, former Detroit Piston Blake Griffin. He debuted Sunday against the Washington Wizards in a win over them, 113-106. Blake Griffin played 15 minutes, 2 points, 2 rebounds, and a slam dunk. First one since 2019. How do you see Blake Griffin fitting in that rotation with Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant?
Now, I think we talked about it. It was either on your podcast or my podcast. We were talking about those bigs in the East. was going to be barbecue chicken for the New York Nets, and I think they got it. I think they got everything they need. I think they really got everything they need. Maybe they need to retool the bench a little bit, but I think they got everything they need. Joel Embiid, hopefully if he comes back, the same from his injury, I think he'll still probably be a dangerous force against the Nets, but I feel like they have everything they need to become the title favorites. I still have people saying that the Los Angeles Lakers are going to win the championship. I have no problems with that. I'm actually one of the biggest LeBron fans in the world, so I would like that to happen. But I think they have no chance. No team in the NBA has a chance versus this New York Nets, in my opinion. So they really just, I don't even. It's just mind-boggling how we started out with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and now all of a sudden we have four of one of the greatest players of all time on the same team.
Yeah, you're talking about the Brooklyn Nets. We did talk about how you trade Jared Allen away, and now you have Jeff Green and them got to play crucial minutes against these big guys going through the paint like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid. He needs to get back from his injury. Hopefully he stays healthy and comes on this MVP candidate race. But yeah, I think that Nets kind of did it, getting a big guy who can play defense down and play crucial minutes. They're probably starting him back up, but he's probably going to be in their crunch time lineup. I don't see how, if the Lakers don't acquire another guy, like we kind of talked about it before the podcast, I think they should go after Andre Drummond or a guard like DeMar DeRozan and try to get a piece like that to help them get their finals run started a little early before AD and LeBron come back. Do you see any piece that the Lakers can get that will give them the MVP or give them the finals favorites back?
Like we said before the pod, Andre Drummond. If they get Andre Drummond, I don't know who they're gonna trade or whatever do. I think Andre Drummond can really be a good defensive presence because, like we said on the pod before, you can't have a 7-foot Marc Gasol in the paint like this in the Western Conference. You gotta have something. Andre Jordan, not DeAndre Jordan, but Drummond, he's not the greatest offensive player. We all know that, but he's going to give you some decent defense, and of course he's going to give you some hell of a rebounding. So, I think, and what comes to play with that, you don't have the strain of AD having to get all the rebounds and playing all the post defense. You can have another great post player. It's just him fitting in with the way that the Lakers play, and they just have to stay healthy. You got two of their best players out right now. I think they might be out until the playoff starts, and I think that would be part. You might drop down in the rankings, but you got to let them guys rest up for the playoffs. You don't want them to re-enter themselves into the playoffs, but I think Drummond's probably the best fit for them as of now.
Also, having Andre Drummond in the paint, you can really have Anthony Davis play outside and kind of shooting threes along with making his playmaking out there versus him playing in the 4-and-1 and him being the one in the middle, kind of clogging things up. I like how the Lakers are doing it. Again, with the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know how much help Kevin Durant needs to try to win these championships, but
that sounds like a take to me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, you got James Harden, you got Kyrie Irving. Those dudes are world-class talents. And then you're adding Blake Griffin, who I know this ain't the same Blake Griffin as Lob City, but
he's still Blake Griffin.
It's still Blake Griffin. It's still Blake Griffin, yeah. So, done for NBA talk. We're going to get into our topic of the day. Me and Eric talked about this last night. I thought it was a good idea. It is our top 5 basketball interviews that have happened, obviously, in the past NBA history. Top 5. Before we start, do you have any ones that just missed the cut, or do you just have your 5 that you knew was going to be your straight 5?
Maybe some that missed the cut. Since I'm a younger person, I really remember the stuff that I've seen. So Majority of these are stuff that I've seen, but
Yeah.
some of them that may have missed the cut that I have watched that have been, past my years of watching the NBA. Maybe the Detroit Pistons after they win in their championship, and Isaiah Thomas says, "Well, I guess we're the bad guys now. I guess we're the bad guys. Somebody has to wear the black hat. I guess somebody has to." So that's probably one of them. Maybe Michael Jordan holding the championship after he won it and his father right next to him. But I think these five is probably no question the greatest of all time.
I'll say it's funny that you say that about the Bad Boys because I've expressed to you how much I love that team, and anyone who knows me as a basketball guy knows that's my favorite team of all time. And my one that just missed the cut is it was Eastern Conference Finals when Larry Bird knocked Dennis Rodman and the Detroit Bad Boys Pistons out the year before they actually made the finals. Dennis Rodman went on. They were questioning Dennis Rodman about how good Larry Bird was, and he said I don't know the direct quote, but he said along the lines of, Larry Bird's all good in that, but if he was black, he'd just be another good guy.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Thomas repeated that. He goes, Larry Bird is an exceptional talent, but I have to agree with Dennis. If Larry Bird was a black person, he would just be another good basketball player. He wouldn't be a top 10. And then they ended up apologizing because they got hit with a bunch of racist comments. And I thought it was comical because in the 30 for 30 Bad Boys Pistons documentary, Detroit reporter came out and said that's probably the first time Dennis Rodman's ever been schooled by a white guy. And he showed it by emotion, like he freaked out over the press. And obviously he regretted the comments and the press was all on him. Isaiah Thomas ended up having to go to the NBA Finals to apologize to Larry Bird on national air. But yeah, we'll just get into our top five. We'll just go in alternating order, 5 and 5. My number 5, Chris Paul got knocked out of the 2017 playoffs by the Utah Jazz. But after Game 5, he responds after Game 5 they lost and in LA, and a reporter asks him, "Do you think that we'll be back here for Game 7?" And Chris Paul looks at him and he goes, "What do you think?" He goes, "What do you think? Nah, we're just gonna lose. We're just gonna lose." He goes, "Yes, if that's what you want me to say, I think we'll be here for Game 7." And I think the Jazz ended up beating the Clippers that series in Game 6. But that's still one of those questions where, as a reporter, it's kind of one of those dumb questions that you ask. But I thought it was funny how Chris Paul, as a serious guy, he's kind of sarcastic, answered it like that.
Yeah, Chris Paul is probably one of the most, low-key meanest people in the NBA, I think. His rep as a good guy is probably going down in the last 10 years after that Rajon Rondo Lakers fight when they say someone spit in someone's face and then out of nowhere it's a brawl. So yeah, that's very Chris Paul-ish of him to do something like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is probably one of the biggest ones I remember. It became a meme. This was probably around the meme era, the LeBron James 3-1 interview. He basically comes to the meme where he's in the back with the glasses and the headphones in, and that really ended up being, the turning point of the series. And the Cleveland Cavaliers ended up winning the championship that year to come back from 3-1, being the first team to do it in the finals. So that's probably one of the most biggest one, the 5th one that I think is.
Yeah. I would say number 4 for me, the late Kobe Bean Bryant. His high school point guard interviewed him after a game in Philadelphia. His high school point guard, for people who don't know the context, during Kobe's 2016 farewell tour, he played in his hometown, Philadelphia, where he grew up at Lower Merion High School. And his point guard, Evan Mansky, or I think I got that right, Evan Mansky, came to his post-game interview and interviewed him for the local broadcast station. And his question was, you played with a lot of great point guards, Derek Fisher, Brian Shaw. Who would you say is the best point guard you ever played with? And Kobe Bryant recognized him instantly, and said, when we're talking about passing, I think Evan Mansky is the best passer I've ever played with. So it's kind of like a feel-good moment. It was cool. It was Kobe's last year. Rest in peace, the great 24 Black Mamba. But yeah, I thought that was an awesome moment when I first saw it. It's kind of cool. We're both amateur journalists who. That's why we're doing this top 5 interviews. That's why, and me and Eric have journalism degree or journalism aspirations and dreams to be at that, and maybe we might see each other in a professional career. But what's your number 4?
My number 4 also has to do with the late Kobe Bryant. In 2009 NBA Finals, the Lakers went up 2-1 versus the Dwight Howard's Orlando Magic, and a reporter said, "Are you happy, Kobe? Because you don't seem happy." He said, "What is there to be happy about? Job's not finished. Job finished." So I think that's probably one of the best Kobe-like interviews that I can remember. And it recently came back up when people saw LeBron James on the floor of the Western Conference Finals after they won. And people saying, "Oh, he knows job isn't finished, so you just got to get that job done." I also got to say, rest in peace to Kobe. He's the GOAT. Not the GOAT, but he's a GOAT.
Yeah. I would say another good Kobe moment is when Ron Artest is like, "Kobe, pass me the ball. Kobe,
He passed me the ball.
You could tell.
He passed me the ball.
You could tell Ron Artest is a little lit in that video. But all right, going on my third, we're staying in the Western Conference Finals. We're actually staying in Los Angeles. We got Pat Beverly and Lou Williams talking about Kevin Durant following the first round loss when they took the Golden State Warriors in 2019 to 6 games. A reporter asked Lou Williams what could they have done to guard Kevin Durant better. Obviously, Kevin Durant was playing with 1, 2, 3 All-Stars, a unanimous MVP in Steph Curry, and a Finals MVP in Andre Iguodala. So there was a lot to deal with. Not taking any credit away from Kevin Durant, 7 foot, third grade shooting or small forward probably when it's all said and done. So Pat Beverly answered that by saying, "What do you think?" He goes, "No, you." He goes, "You ever play basketball before?" And the girl's like, "Yeah, but I'm trying to get your opinion." He goes, "What do you think we could have done better?" And then Lou Williams cuts him off because he could tell Pat Beverly was getting irritated. He goes, "I promise we tried. We tried everything." And then they later credit Kevin Durant saying he's a world generational talent, but they were like, everything's about the Warriors. But he goes, "Our Clippers took him to 6 games. Like, I think we deserve a lot of credit. And they were dogs in that series. They were the one team in the playoffs that didn't have like a superstar. Lou Williams kind of carried the offensive load for that team, Montrezl Harrell. But they were dogs. They took that Golden State Warriors team to 6 games. And when Eric, when it gets to 7 games, anything can happen in Game 7. So,
Look, my James.
yeah, yeah. What was your third? Favorite moment?
You're not gonna like this one. You being an Ohio native, you're really not gonna like this one. I remember when I was really, really young. I really didn't watch a lot of basketball. I watched a little bit, but I know about this one of the biggest players in the world. His name was LeBron James, and out of nowhere they're saying, "Oh, he's gonna say where he's gonna be going." So my number 3 is definitely the decision that LeBron James made to go to South Beach. I think that's probably one of the biggest moments in sports history. And I remember I didn't really even know what was happening. I just heard a lot of boos in the crowd. And then after that, people are burning his jerseys. People are going crazy about this. The owner said something about him. So I think that decision is probably the one with the most impact because that probably impacted the whole NBA.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember where I was at, what day. Like I remember where I was at when I saw that. I was in front of my TV. It was 2010. It was probably one of the first sports moments that crushed me. Like as a 10-year-old, it was probably one of the first sports moments that crushed me. He's like, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach," and I'm like, "We don't got South Beach in Ohio." And then he's like, "I'm going to the Miami Heat." And I was actually a D Wade fan then, but I was still a Cleveland boy. You know what I mean? I was still Cleveland Cavaliers. I was rocking with them. But growing up, I'm glad that he went to Miami. Cavaliers were kind of being cheap and wouldn't get a star. So I'm glad he went to Miami. He got his chips and he revolutionized the NBA though, kind of made it easier. He took a lot of heat for walking away from his hometown team but he kind of paved the way of players making their own options, going to different teams. I don't think KD as going to the Warriors would have happened if not LeBron walking and going to the Heat. Kind of, and now you see that's how a lot of players move teams is they use it in free agency. For my number 2, I got one of my favorite NBA players, Russell Westbrook, defending Steven Adams after a Game 4 loss to the Houston Rockets in 2017 when Russell Westbrook was on the MVP campaign, averaging triple doubles. A Thunder reporter tried splitting Westbrook up against the team, and if you know, Westbrook had a good plus minus that year, and a lot of the Thunder teams were bad when Westbrook didn't have Paul George. And he said, "Why does Houston do so good when Westbrook goes to the bench?" And Steven Adams goes to answer the question, and Russell Westbrook cuts him off and says, "Don't make this a Westbrook versus Steven Adams. Don't make this a Westbrook versus Thunder. We're in this together. You're going to refer to us as the Thunder. You're going to refer to us as all the Thunder." And actually, the reporter refuses to give up the microphone because he wanted an answer because it was a good question, but it was Westbrook didn't want to make it a controversial. Westbrook had the label of being a bad teammate then and a selfish ball player, and he kind of tried cutting down any narrative that would have made that story any better.
Yeah, as a Thunder fan myself, I can attest to the many trials of Russell Westbrook and the OKC Thunder. It was obvious that the team was a little bit better without him, but they weren't gonna get where they were without him. So, but my number 2 is the one that I heard that you didn't have on your list, and that's probably one of the most famous ones out of all these. Allen Iverson's "We Talking About Practice." So this ended up being, if they had memes back then, this probably would have been a big meme. Also, it is a big meme now still. I think it's around like 15 years ago, maybe even more. Allen Iverson goes out on a rant during a post-game interview, and he says, "We're talking about practice because he missed, a couple of practices." But I think how the story goes, one of his childhood friends passed away, and I guess he just couldn't. It was the murder trial or something. I didn't take the time to do my research, but it was something behind him saying we're talking about practice. It's just everything comes up, and that's just how it came out to him.
Yeah, I knew I knew that it was about one of his childhood friends getting killed, and whether it was a murder or not, and he missed like 3 practices in a row. And he's like, "We not even talking about a game." He goes, "We're talking about practice." It was funny. It's funny. Allen Iverson's one of those personalities. So for our number 1, Eric, I'll let you take the floor for your number 1 before I tell him mine.
Mine. I'm very proud of this one. Anything is possible. My man Kevin Garnett won his first ring with the Celtics in the 2007-08 NBA Finals versus Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. And, it just all came out. After those years of losing in the West and losing every year, he finally gets himself a ring, and it all comes out in the interview, and he says, "Anything is possible." So that's in my eyes, that's no question the greatest post-game NBA interview of all time.
I don't know about post-game interview of all time. I was gonna say my number 1 isn't about LeBron James winning the ship. It's about after Game 4, some guard from Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson, says that LeBron just got his feelings hurt after him and Draymond Green had that altercation in the 2016 finals. And LeBron hears it from a reporter. That's the funny part, is he didn't even know about it until he went into the interview. He heard it and laughs, and then he talks about how he's taken the high road so long and that he's going to do it again. And he's like, "We got to be better in Game 5. But, it's just that moment that he looks in the camera and, laughs. And he's like, "Oh, my gosh." So I think that was a turning point. I know you're talking about the sunglasses one, but I think those are 2 turning points in that series. Obviously, got LeBron James' first championship in Cleveland, and the only championship that he got in Cleveland. But it's still one of those moments that you, as a Cleveland fan, you looked and you're like, "This is gonna be good." It was one of those things where I was very confident after he just said that.
Yeah, and it's just no, I'm not taking anything away from Klay Thompson, but you just sit in the corner and shoot threes. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. This man LeBron James does any and everything for his team at all time. You may play a little post-up defense. You're probably one of the greatest top 5 shooters of all time, but you're not LeBron James. You're not on his level. Don't come down to that man's level. He's the greatest player. He's one of the greatest players of all time.
He's the greatest player of all time. Yeah, and Klay Thompson was just poking the bear. Like, I give Draymond Green and Klay Thompson had no problems with LeBron before that. Like, if it was unanimous MVP Steph Curry saying something, probably wouldn't have a problem with it. If it's Finals MVP the series before Andre Iguodala, who's having to guard LeBron all these series, probably wouldn't have a problem with it. If it's Draymond Green, who just got in a fight with LeBron, but it was like Klay Thompson, who wasn't even related to that situation, and he puts himself, he's like, maybe he just got his feelings hurt. I was like, no way, he just said that about LeBron, out of all people. Like, who else to piss off more than LeBron? But yeah, that is all for our show today. Just a couple footnotes. Rest in peace, Elgin Baylor, one of the true trailblazers in this league. 10-time All-NBA, 11-time All-Star. Respect to him, served the Army while he played. You got any comments for that, Eric?
Yeah, I've said it on, I think it was your podcast of the best player to not win a ring. He's definitely my best player to not win a ring. Like you said, he's putting up numbers while still being in the Army. One of the greatest, like we said, there would not be a Michael Jordan, there would not be a Dr. Dre if there was not for the game of Elgin Baylor, and it's really sad to see how he has passed away.
Yeah, we talk about trailblazers in this league. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, the true trailblazer, one of the true trailblazers in this league was Elgin Baylor, rest in peace. And then also the rookie phenom LaMelo Ball has a wrist injury, and he will be out the rest of the year. I'm sick to my stomach about this. I know we are both big LaMelo Ball fans. Yeah, I thought he was really gonna lead Charlotte to the playoffs. Charlotte still might make it, still might not, but obviously they aren't the same team without LaMelo Ball.
They're not making it. And it's sad, though. It's really sad. He really could have led that team to the playoffs. But I just wanted to say this, just sorry if I'm saying it, but can we stop bringing up Anthony Edwards for a little bit? Because, I feel like he's a good player. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player. But LaMelo Ball's better. And that's just my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. He's better.
I think that this class surpassed the expectations that they were. I think if Wiseman starts getting in the rotation, the Warriors got their own beef over there with Kevin Durant and Steve Kerr and everything. They got their own Twitter beef. But I think that once Wiseman really comes into his role, and him, Edwards, and LaMelo Ball, you got Emmanuel quickly. A lot of this class is actually not as bad as what I think people thought it was going to be, and I'm excited to see where this class takes the NBA. There's a couple keepers that we might have in this league in the next 5 years. But yeah, LaMelo Ball, hope you get well soon.
He's still rookie of the year.
What's up?
He's still the rookie of the year, though.
Yeah, he's not going to win it, but we hope.
He's going to win it.
If they didn't give it to Zion last year, they ain't gonna give it to him this year. Don't get me wrong. I want him to. Don't get me wrong, Eric. I want him.
The Wolves have won 10 games this season.
They're gonna win.
Why would they give it to Edwards?
They're gonna give it to him, though. They're gonna give it to him. I want LaMelo Ball to win it. I want LaMelo Ball to win it. Don't make this.
If they give it to him, I don't know what to say about the NBA anymore, because that's false. It's false. It's all false. It's all rigged.
I want LaMelo Ball to win it, but I don't think they will. I think with the amount of games played, and you still got this whole second half of the season, I don't see the NBA giving it to him. But I want him. I see him
getting it. Yeah. Just his impact. The thing, they're gonna see his impact when he leaves, when he's not on the team, and because the Hornets are most likely not going to keep that playoff spot.
Now,
they're going to see the impact.
That plays into something. If the Hornets just go to straight, if they go on the decline, you got to play that factor in, because Anthony Edwards been playing with the Timberwolves all year, and they only won 10 games. With Karl Anthony Towns too. Like, I don't know what the Timberwolves want.
And this was the team that people was like, oh, they got Anthony Edwards, they got Russell. They're gonna make some plus in the West. No.
Yeah, you got
I don't want to hear nothing about
Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, who everyone talks of Karl Anthony Towns. I have yet to. I like Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's a good player. But when we put him on like a superstar title, that's not where you're getting me with it.
I don't see the hype. I really don't see the hype. I really don't see the hype with Karl Anthony Towns. Yes, he can shoot the ball. Yes, he can shoot a three. But you have to defend. You have to be a center. You only have 10. Yes, and you have to stay healthy. You know, he's had a rough past year. You know, he lost a lot of family members. And I shout out to him for even playing this season. But yeah,
my take isn't just this here take. I haven't seen Karl Anthony Towns did do good. He's a good player, but like I'm not on the superstar title for me. But yeah.
Same here.
I was gonna say a lot of trade rumors are coming out. Just check out NBA Twitter. A lot of trade rumors coming out. I can't wait till we do those episodes. We're probably gonna do one right before the trade deadline where we think teams are gonna go. You know, I wouldn't mind. What's one ideal trade that you would love to see? It might not happen, but what's one trade that you really want to see?
You know, I'm not a good guy with trades most of the time, you know, because I don't know all the money aspect. But I'm not really sure. Maybe I know I did see someone saying Kyle Lowry was going to the Knicks. No. I did see someone say Lonzo Ball going to the Knicks.
Yeah,
no,
that's
I wouldn't have a problem with that. But because they really have, it's a mess. You know, I don't know how the East is all a mess. 500 gives you a playoff spot. So it's a mess. So I mean,
no, that's the thing about the East that's fun is because the 4 seed Atlanta Hawks and the 10 seed Chicago Bulls are 2.5 games away from each other. That is 6 spots from you're talking about top half of the East to barely making the play-in tournament is 2.5 games away from each other. So you can't get on a cold streak. I would love to see a Kemba Walker, Russell Westbrook swap. Get my man in Green and Boston.
No.
Yeah.
Do not take away of those great stars in Boston with pairing him.
Stop! Get out of here.
No. But I do want Kemba gone. Kemba needs to leave Boston now. He's horrible. I don't think
Russell Westbrook, a slasher who makes teammates around him better. Get him a slasher.
He can't play with elite teammates. He only has to play with horrible teammates. He plays with horrible teammates, and then that makes them good. He can't play with great teammates.
Westbrook played with the second best player in the NBA, and they went to a final.
That's before Russell Westbrook transferred to the number 1 guy. He has to be the guy.
Played with James Harden to get him a 4 seed. Got him a 3 seed. James Harden got him a 3 seed.
If it's not the guy, it won't work.
He made Paul George a third in the MVP candidate.
He's not the guy. It will not work.
I don't know, man. He made Paul George an MVP candidate. He got James Harden a 3 seed. I don't know what you're wanting from me. I don't know what you're wanting from me.
Championship?
Pair him up with what?
Did they get a championship?
No. You only get championships every night.
Thank you.
You got to go up against Russell Westbrook and James Harden got knocked out by the greatest player of all time in 2 series.
Well, what did Russell Westbrook do?
Just became
the playoffs. What did he do in the playoffs?
James Harden were the highest scoring duo in NBA history.
He got carried by James Harden.
NBA hit. You're crediting all of James Harden for that? He was putting up 31-point splits in December.
That was in December. We got the playoffs.
There's only one team that wins a championship every year. I don't think you're one guy who just said you don't base everything off championships. You are on record. I'll find a clip. You are on record for saying that. And one of
I know.
No, I think it would be weird. I definitely think it'd be weird if you got JT and Jaylen Brown with Russell Westbrook. But I think something in Boston's got to shake up. You can't have a 5'10". You can't have a 5'10" guard with Kemba. I think Kemba is too much of a 3-level scorer where he wants to score the ball too much. When you obviously have JT and Jalen Brown as your scorers on that team. And I think if Boston gets rid of Kemba and gets more of a solid point guard, I think they would fight for at least Eastern Conference final spot. I don't know if you're beating the Nets with that
You
team.
probably just need a playmaking centric type of player because you don't need them to score. I mean, yes, you need them to score when times matters, but you need them to be able to facilitate, pass the ball to those two great wings that they have.
You gotta be ready to bring in a guy who is ready to take the backseat, though, like Harden did with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and find a way for them to be productive without scoring the ball. James Harden's averaging highest career assists and highest career rebounds, so he's finding his own way, and he's transforming into a true point guard. So that's kind of cool to see a player who we really known as a prolific scorer to just be a passer now.
Thinking about it, the Kyle Lowry would probably work. I feel like Kyle Lowry would work in Boston.
I'm not a big Kyle Lowry guy.
I'm not a big Kyle Lowry fan either, but I think it'll work.
Kyle Lowry's going to Miami. If that happens.
Miami thinks they're getting everyone every time, every year. Doesn't matter the season, the month, the date. They think they're getting everybody. They think they're getting everybody, and they come out with getting nobody every time. So
I think this trade deadline is actually going to be a bust. In my true reaction, I think it's going to be a bust, and I think there's not going to be a lot of good moves.
Not a lot.
Me and my boys talked about that. There's a lot of rumors, and there's not a lot of moves already. And I see Boston's trying to get Aaron Gordon. So Boston's trying to trade Marcus Smart and 2 first-round picks for Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier. So
what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Marcus Smart is probably one of their best defensive players. He's the glue guy. He's the guy you need to run a team. Why would you trade him for Eric Gordon? Eric Gordon of all people, and give up picks? I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
I was gonna say that's gonna wrap it up. Obviously, me and Eric are gonna be on each other's podcast more. Eric, drop your socials.
Courtside Talk with Eric is like my that's like everything, And then my Twitter is just Arrick Wilson, ARRICK. Spelled really, really weird, but it's Arrick Wilson. But that is my personal, and sometimes I use that more than I use my company. And yeah, it's just be on the lookout. Me and Brayden are going to be looking on to look at some NCAA tournament podcasts in a few days. Once we get everything squared away, but I'm really happy I was able to get in touch with my man Brayden again. We both had a little hiatus, but it was really fun talking to him.
Yeah. It's always fun to chat back and forth with you. Obviously, me and Eric will be on a bunch of each other's episodes. For you guys who haven't checked out Eric, Courtside Talk with Eric, I'll definitely drop his Twitter on. If you haven't checked out my previous podcast episodes, I talk with Chloe about things that 2020 taught us and other NBA-related podcasts. Me and Eric will definitely be on here for some NCAA tournament talk and some NBA trade deadline talk in the near future. That's going to do it for Crev's Corner. I'm your host, Brayden Krevling, with my guest, Eric